Hey team, so my name is Daniel Mora. I'm a product designer with the Access Group. And today I want to talk about this particular epic that we're working on to separate the admin panel into hardware settings and workspace settings that can cascade into groups. So this is kind of a high level task. If we look at, for example, the current admin settings screen, it just has a bunch of stuff here and it's kind of all over the place. So what we're trying to do is, as part of the SUS work that we're continuously trying to improve, we want to try and maybe clean up navigational systems and then also bring features like what we're describing here, making sure these settings are applicable to all of our environments. So like the SaaS environment and as well as self-managed. Currently, we don't have this feature in the self-managed environment. This is where it currently exists. To access this on the admin area, which again doesn't exist in .com environment, and that'll give you all these settings. The problem is here is that a lot of this stuff doesn't actually apply or make sense in the .com environment. So what we want to do is take inventory or understand of what is a hardware setting that exists to your self-managed installation, and then what is also a setting for the GitLab environment. So what I've done, let's see. Thank you, Figma. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, so as I started, I went through the current admin screen and kind of did an inventory of all the settings and tried to categorize things to understand what existed where. So for example, what is GitLab environment setting, what was a hardware control, and just going through every particular setting to see what made sense. I also obviously don't have all the answers, so I asked for feedback from a number of folks. Cynthia was very helpful in the customer success team to try and help me go through all these and see what was missing. So one of the things that actually is a problem for me, because I don't have a fully active running GDK, like I don't have pipelines running, I don't have certain features turned on. That means some of these things don't show up. So it was great to have other folks contributing and giving some information. So one of the things here is just the primary settings in the admin screen, and the settings itself is also rather complex. So what I did from there was just basically copy paste all the settings that I'd already had, and then go through and try and reorganize everything and think about where they would exist in a more logical system, something with less navigational elements, and to try and reduce some of the confusion, and then just recategorize everything to see if this made sense in this location, and did it make sense from a user perspective. And then also a lot of this stuff is still ongoing. One of the initial problems that I had was thinking about, well, if we wanted to kind of the problem to hardware versus software environment, I started looking at the settings. Well, could we just break it up into group settings versus global settings? So group settings versus global settings, just kind of a rough iterations. The problem there was that if we look back at some of the visuals, was a navigational concern where this would be, oops, I think that's the wrong one. Yeah, that's okay. So you would reduce an admin setting to just these three options, like the overview, the GitLab workspace, or the hardware environment. But that would create some problems with the navigation that we didn't really want to try and tackle at this point in time, with making like tertiary level nav systems. That seemed like a little too complex to do right now. So I stepped back, and like I said, I just wanted to try and do only the .com or groups environment, and that way we can actually live user testing feedback sessions. What be used in our week yesterday was that 80% of our user base is self-managed versus the small minority that actually use. So if we bring them to have more features or more access to control, So this is kind of a just a rough hard data prototype to try and see get back and see if I can show.
Daniel, I think you're breaking up a little bit. Oops. Sorry, just a heads up in the chat. You're breaking up a little bit.
Sorry.
So if there's a way, if we can get, I don't know, maybe a better spot, better connection, I think will be best for the overall experience.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Maybe if you turn off your video, it'll reduce the lag. Yeah, I think you just the video. Yeah, cool. And then that should help relieve the bandwidth.
Sorry about that. I'm not in my usual place right now.
No worries.
So oh, why is it not doing this? So for some reason, it wants to open the prototype in a new screen. Let me try sharing that screen instead. There we go. So it kind of did a rough draft of the interface as it currently exists with the visuals on the main screen, but then also the new navigational system. And just again, the first iteration to try and get feedback and to get a better understanding on, does this feature help improve our SUS scores, and also does it also bring features that are needed to the .com environment, and are they good features? So that's the bit of work that I'm showing today.
Awesome. Thank you. Folks, any questions that you might have for Daniel?
Yeah, we'll need to edit out the customer name. Sorry about that.
So are you planning on doing, excuse me, like some kind of card sort or tree jack kind of thing with users to help with the information architecture side of things?
A lot of that's already been done by the UX research team. I wanted to try and do this iteration because it exists currently. So nothing's really changed, just some of the headings. But I think that would be kind of the next step for me, just to see, does this make sense for users? I've started doing something similar with the members location and appearance, because that's two settings that were kind of stuck out in limbo that needed to be better defined, I felt, as part of some other work that we're doing tangentially to this.
Got it. Thanks. Seems like a big initiative, so thank you for tackling it.
Yeah, the trouble is that a lot of the stuff that Access is doing spans a lot of different groups. And so I try and hopefully reach out to as many folks as possible to let y'all know that we're going to be poking at things, and please help contribute.
I see a question coming up from Austin in the doc. Austin, do you want to voice your question?
Yeah, Daniel, what are you most concerned about when you're considering pulling these features out of the admin area and exposing them into SaaS? This could be implementation-wise, this could be user expectations. I'm just kind of curious what you're thinking there.
Currently, these don't exist. The nature for bringing them to the environment to basically give the users the access to, specifically it started by the cascading settings, or making sure that the settings were applicable across the organization. So one of the problems is that a lot of these settings just don't exist, and they need to exist because of things like user management, billing issues, these sort of high level things that are just not, they just don't exist in the current GitLab environment or the .com environment. So it's sort of a thing where in order for us to move as a product and to also bring parity between the .com and the self-managed environments, that these things just need to come forward, so to speak. I don't know if there's any sort of concern or fears, how I interpreted it, the bringing or exposing these to the .com environment users. It's more of offering more management and more control for the
Gotcha. I think you broke up a little bit there at the end, but I think you're just relaying that you're more concerned about making sure that the SaaS customers have access to some of the great features that we've tucked away in the admin area for self-managed.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with the internet today.
All good.